Greetings fencers, this is a review and comparison of the SPES AP Lite 350N and the new generation 800N. I've been using the AP Lite 350N for about 4 years now, and I've had the new generation 800N for almost a year, as well as multiple of each are in the club. You can also watch our previous 5 Hema Jackets review video to see some other jackets. There are two main types of jackets: heavy jackets that have a soft padding throughout the entire jacket, and light jackets that are instead a few layers of fabric and have foam inserts that protect the main areas. First, some details on the AP Lite 350N. It is puncture resistant up to 350 newtons. In North American tournaments that's always allowed, but supposedly in Europe there are some tournaments that have higher thresholds of puncture resistant, so that's one reason why there are 800N and 1600N versions of some items. And the puncture resistant material is under the top layer on the 350N, which means you can eventually get holes and tears in the top layer. The AP Lite has 5 pockets for foam inserts, 2 on the body, 2 on the shoulders, and 1 up the zipper. The foam that comes with it is pretty light and weak compared to other jackets' foam I've seen, but it's good enough that I haven't bothered switching it. It's roughly the impact strength of a heavy jacket, and you can always add more to the pocket. I always put plastic plates up in the shoulders. My shoulder and collarbone stick way up, so they are a must for me. I've also had to replace much of the Velcro and sew it on multiple times, but that was all after the first year. Mobility is unlike any jacket. It had no break-in period and has no movement restrictions. It's like wearing a sweater. It is extremely light and doesn't get overly hot. I can wear it all class if I need to. That obviously comes at a cost. It depends on your sparring intensity and how hard your partners hit. Anywhere that doesn't have foam is unprotected. If someone hits you where there is no foam insert, then it's as if you aren't wearing a jacket. Now, swords aren't maces and don't have a lot of blunt force, but when mistakes happen, you will immediately feel it, because it will be as if you're fencing without gear. If it's a hit above the shield too hard and right to an unpadded area, heavy jackets would still protect you a bit. But it's not the end of the world, it just means you go home with a lot more bruises. Hits to arm, bicep, collarbone, and thrust to the left and right of the chest by the armpits usually get a lot of bruises. The foam plates also don't wrap it all around the back and stop directly under the arm, so cuts to the side can also hit open area. If you do hard sparring long enough, you will eventually get hit everywhere. I want my gear to be as close to unarmored fencing as possible, and this is the jacket that helped me achieve that. With safe fencing, you can reduce the amount of times you take bad hits by wearing a neck guard that covers the collarbone and a plastron to cover the armpits. I've never been scared entering a tournament, and for all weapons apart from longsword, this is the best jacket, as well as other light jackets like it. I still recommend it as an option for longsword, but it depends on you and where you're training. We've had people use an AP Lite 350N and decide to get heavy jackets once they get their own. But now we come to the new generation 800N. This is the updated model. It is more expensive, but fixes some of the gaps in the previous model. It only has 4 pockets, but each one is larger. The shoulder pocket now has a little added bicep protection. Doesn't really do much, but occasionally takes the impact. An annoying downgrade, however, though, is the pocket is sewn together, not Velcro, so I can't put my plastic plate in there without cutting. And I hate putting plates on the outside because they catch thrusts and make a loud noise even on light hits. The chest is split in 2 plates that go right up to the armpits, and this is where so many thrusts land and so many bruises happened on the previous jacket. So now that is completely covered and a plastron isn't necessary. It also goes all the way up to the collarbone, protecting it from thrusts and some cuts. Now, the inserts don't go any further around the back, but because of the pocket openings, you could put foam in without modifying the jacket. The material in between the foam inserts does also feel thicker and stronger, and does add a little more protection than the 350N, like upgrading from a sweater to a jacket. This did, however, affect the break-in period. I remember sparring with the 350N 5 minutes after I took it out of the box, but with the 800N, I felt very uncomfortable and slow my first time sparring with it. It actually had a break-in period of 1 to 2 months, which is still faster than heavy jackets, which can be up to 5 months. It also does keep heat in more. It is cooler than a heavy jacket, but it is an increase to the 350N. I do usually want to unzip it or even take it off when I'm not needing it. I also decided to get the Pro upgrade. That's the strip up the arms, along with forearm, elbow, bicep, and shoulder plastic plates. I use the shoulder and elbow. I don't really like having plates up the bicep. One thing to note with AP Lite arms is because they're unpadded, forearm guards are mandatory. I prefer this because my forearms don't get too oversized and heavy, but the forearm guards that come with it are essentially useless for light jackets. I do not know a human who could keep taking steel longsword hits there and want to keep sparring.
That actually hurt.
Obviously, if it was life and death, you can push through the pain, but if you're able to use those with an AP light, people obviously aren't sparring with you at a high intensity. You have to use different forearms or attach the bicep guards to them, like we did. So the 800N isn't perfect, but at the moment it is the jacket that I recommend most for longsword. I'm a fan of light jackets and really encourage the mobility and technique variety it allows earlier in someone's training. Heavy jackets don't stop you, but usually you have to learn how to do things in the jacket. Whereas in the light jackets, you just do it. If you're only using lighter weapons, rapier, stick, gymnasium saber, small sword, and you want to be nice and cool, then the 350N is the best for that. You want to do longsword, military saber, then the 800N is a better choice. And if you want to have the least amount of bruises possible, and that's priority number one, then you start looking at some of the SPES AP 800N or Superior Fencing, Arkham jackets, etc. There are lots of jackets out there. We had someone get one that uses plastic plates on the chest and down the thigh, so there are lots of options for your specific needs. Also, because I get this question a lot, I do just wash my jackets on delicates in the washing machine, then let them hang dry. You can even leave the foams inserts in them. Thanks for watching, keep studying, keep practicing.
Oh no!